Jake Morrison wiped the sweat from his face as he walked away from the construction site. The summer heat in Ohio was getting worse every year. At 28, he was tired of building houses for rich people while living in a small apartment himself. When he saw the flyer for the medical study, the $500 payment caught his attention right away. The Galactic Health Initiative Center was the biggest building in town now. It looked like something from a science fiction movie with its white walls and strange blue lights. Jake had never been inside before. Most people in town were still getting used to having aliens around. The Zalari had been on Earth for 3 years now, but Jake had only seen them on TV. He pushed through the glass doors and walked up to the front desk. A human woman with short red hair smiled at him. Her name tag said Lisa Torres, reception. "Hi there. I'm here for the medical study," Jake said. "Great. Just fill out these forms and someone will be with you soon," Lisa said, handing him a tablet. Jake sat down and looked around the waiting room. Everything was clean and white. There were strange symbols on the walls that he guessed were alien writing. A few other people waited nearby, all looking as nervous as he felt. After 20 minutes, a tall woman in a white coat called his name. "Jake Morrison? I'm Dr. Amy Chen. Follow me, please." Dr. Amy led him down a long hallway. "Thanks for volunteering. We're studying how human and Zalari biology might work together for future space missions." "Space missions?" Jake asked. "Yes. If humans and aliens are going to travel together to distant planets, we need to understand how our bodies react to each other. It's all perfectly safe." They entered a room that looked like a normal doctor's office except for the second examination table that was much larger and had different equipment around it. A figure stood near the far wall and Jake's breath caught in his throat. It was his first time seeing a Zalari up close. The alien was about 7 feet tall with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer slightly. Its face was humanoid but longer, with large dark eyes and no visible nose. It wore something that looked like a medical coat, but was made of material that seemed to move on its own. "This is Healer Vextai," Dr. Amy said. "Don't worry, the Zalari are completely peaceful." The alien stepped forward and spoke in a voice that sounded like wind chimes. "Greetings, Jake Morrison. I am honored to meet you." Jake nodded, not sure what to say. The alien's voice was beautiful but strange. "We'll start with some basic tests," Dr. Amy explained. "Blood work, tissue samples, that sort of thing. The whole process should take about 2 hours." Jake rolled up his sleeve and sat on the examination table. Dr. Amy drew several vials of blood while Healer Vextai watched closely. Jake noticed the alien's eyes never left the blood samples. "Now we'll need a small skin sample," Dr. Amy said, pulling out what looked like a tiny punch tool. The skin sample didn't hurt much. Jake watched as both the doctor and the alien carefully labeled everything. They seemed excited about something, but they weren't telling him what. "That's all for today," Dr. Amy said. "We'll call you in a few days with the results." Jake left the building feeling strange. Something about the way the alien had looked at him made him think there was more to this study than they were saying. 3 days later, his phone rang. "Jake, this is Dr. Amy. Can you come back to the center today? We have some interesting results to discuss." "Is something wrong?" Jake asked. "No, nothing's wrong, just we need to talk to you as soon as possible." Jake drove to the center feeling worried. When he arrived, Lisa at the front desk looked at him with wide eyes. "They're waiting for you in conference room A," she said quietly. The conference room had a long table with Dr. Amy, Healer Vextai, and 3 other Zalari he hadn't seen before. Everyone looked serious. "Please sit down, Jake," Dr. Amy said. "We have some news that might be hard to believe." Jake sat down slowly. "What kind of news?" Healer Vextai leaned forward. "Your genetic structure is remarkable, Jake Morrison. In all our years of study, we have never seen anything like it." "What does that mean?" Jake asked. Dr. Amy pulled out a tablet and showed him a complex chart covered in colors and lines. "Your DNA has a very rare sequence that we've never seen in humans before. But here's the amazing part. This sequence perfectly matches what the Zalari need to fix a serious health problem." "What kind of health problem?" The alien healer's voice became sadder. "My people are dying, Jake Morrison. For 1,000 years, our immune systems have been failing. Our children are born sick. Our adults cannot fight off simple diseases. We estimate that in 50 years there will be no more Zalari." Jake stared at them. "And my blood can help?" "Not just help," Dr. Amy said. "Your genetic material could save their entire species. We've run the test 5 times. It's incredible." Jake felt dizzy. I don't understand. I'm just a construction worker. How can I save an entire alien race? Sometimes the most important people are the ones who seem most ordinary, Healer Vexthai said. You may look like a simple human to yourself, but to my people, you are the answer to our prayers. Dr. Amy leaned forward. We need to do more tests, Jake. With your permission, we'd like to study your DNA further and see if we can develop treatments. Jake looked around the room at all the faces watching him. What would I have to do? Come in for regular blood draws and testing. We'll pay you well for your time. And Jake, this needs to stay secret for now. If word gets out, it could cause problems. Jake nodded slowly. How many people know about this? Just the people in this room, Dr. Amy said. We'll keep it that way until we understand more. As Jake left the building that day, he noticed something different. The Zalari staff members all stopped what they were doing to watch him walk by. One young alien nurse, who wore a name tag that said Kalaneth, followed him with her eyes until he was out of sight. Jake drove home wondering how his life had just changed forever. He was no longer just Jake Morrison, construction worker. He was Jake Morrison, the human who might save an alien race. He had no idea how complicated things were about to become. Jake thought his secret was safe. For 2 weeks, he went to the medical center every other day. Dr. Amy and Healer Vexthai drew more blood and ran more tests. The Zalari nurse named Kalaneth always found reasons to be in the room when he was there. She would stare at him like he was the most important person in the universe. Is she always like that? Jake asked Dr. Amy after his 4th visit. Like what? Dr. Amy was busy labeling blood tubes, the nurse. She keeps looking at me funny. Dr. Amy glanced over at Kalaneth, who was cleaning equipment very slowly near Jake's chair. She's young. This is probably the most exciting thing that's happened in her career. Jake didn't think it was just excitement. Something in the alien's large, dark eyes looked desperate. On a Friday morning, Jake woke up to find his phone buzzing with missed calls. The first one was from Dr. Amy. Jake, we have a problem. Can you get to the center right away? What kind of problem? I can't explain over the phone. Just come now and maybe use the back entrance. Jake drove toward the medical center and saw what Dr. Amy meant. The parking lot was full of strange vehicles he had never seen before. Some looked like normal cars but were twice as long. Others looked like metal eggs sitting on the ground. There were at least 50 aliens standing around the building. He parked 3 blocks away and walked to the back entrance. Dr. Amy was waiting for him with 2 security guards. Thank God you're here, she said, pulling him inside quickly. We have a major situation. What's going on? Dr. Ben Phillips from the university sold information about you to the Galactic Medical Consortium. Now everyone knows about your DNA. Jake felt his stomach drop. Everyone? Every alien medical facility in this part of the galaxy got the news yesterday. We've had 12 ships land since dawn. Dr. Amy led him to her office, which had windows facing the parking lot. Jake looked out and saw dozens of aliens in medical uniforms. Most were Zalari, but there were other species too. Some looked like giant insects walking on 2 legs. Others were covered in fur and looked like walking bears. They all want samples of my blood? Jake asked. Worse than that. Some of them are claiming official authority to take you into custody for medical testing. A knock on the door made them both jump. Healer Vexthai entered, looking more stressed than Jake had ever seen him. The situation grows worse, the alien said. Senior Healer Yathara has arrived from the Zalari homeworld. She has legal documents claiming authority over Jake Morrison. What kind of documents? Dr. Amy asked. Papers that say any being whose genetics can save the Zalari people belongs to our government. She has brought 12 medical staff and a military escort. Jake stared out the window. Those soldiers out there? Yes, but they are not the only ones. The Vrexani delegation claims you can solve their reproduction crisis. The Threlki believe your DNA will cure a plague that is killing their hive worlds. This is insane, Jake said. I just wanted to make some extra money. His phone buzzed. It was a text from his neighbor, Lisa Torres. Your apartment building is surrounded by aliens. Don't come home. Dr. Amy read the message over his shoulder. You can't go back there, Jake. It's not safe. What do you mean, not safe? Some of these aliens aren't official medical personnel. Our security team identified at least 6 groups using fake credentials. They're civilians who are desperate for your genetic material. Healer Vexthai's voice became urgent. There are rumors that vials of your blood have appeared on the black market. The price is higher than refined platinum. Jake sat down hard in a chair. People are selling my blood? We think someone from the original research team took extra samples, Dr. Amy said. We're investigating, but right now we need to keep you safe. A loud commotion outside made them all look toward the window. Two groups of aliens were arguing in the parking lot. The insect-like aliens were pointing aggressively at a group of furry bear aliens. They're fighting over me, Jake said quietly. The situation is becoming dangerous. Healer Vextai agreed. If we do not find a solution soon, there may be violence. Jake's phone rang. It was Lisa Torres. Jake, where are you? There are news crews here now. Someone told them about the aliens wanting your DNA. It's all over the internet. Jake looked at Dr. Amy with panic in his eyes. The news knows? Dr. Amy grabbed her computer and pulled up a news website. The headline read, Local man's DNA could save alien species. Crowds gather demanding samples. We're too late, she said. This is going to be everywhere in an hour. Healer Vextai moved to the window. More ships are arriving. I count at least 20 now. Jake watched as another strange vehicle landed in the parking lot. This one was shaped like a pyramid and glowed with purple light. Aliens in silver uniforms got out and immediately started arguing with the other groups. Who are they? Jake asked. I do not recognize their species, Healer Vextai said. But they wear medical symbols. Dr. Amy's computer chimed with an urgent message. It's from the government. Director Sam Walsh wants to talk to you, Jake. The military is getting involved. The military? Jake felt like he was in a nightmare. Think about it from their perspective, Dr. Amy said. You're an American citizen with genetic material that multiple alien governments want. That makes you a strategic resource. Another knock on the door interrupted them. This time it was Kalaneth, the young Zalari nurse. She looked terrified. Healer Vextai, I must confess something, she said in her musical voice. What is it, child? I took extra blood samples last week. I was afraid Jake Morrison might leave and we would lose our only chance to save our people. I sold them to pay for my sister's medical treatment on the homeworld. The room went silent. Dr. Amy stared at the nurse with her mouth open. How many samples? Healer Vextai asked quietly. 5 vials. I thought if I sold them to other medical facilities, more people could work on finding a cure. Oh, Kalaneth, Healer Vextai said sadly. Do you realize what you have done? Jake looked out the window again. More vehicles were arriving every minute. The crowd of aliens was getting bigger and more agitated. We need to get you out of here, Dr. Amy said. Right now. Where can I go? If this is on the news, everyone will know who I am. We'll figure something out. But staying here isn't safe anymore. As if to prove her point, the sound of breaking glass came from somewhere in the building. Someone was trying to get inside. The back exit, Healer Vextai said urgently. We must go now. Jake grabbed his jacket and followed them toward the door. Behind them, the sounds of the crowd outside were getting louder and angrier. His quiet life as a construction worker was officially over. Now he was the most wanted human in the galaxy, and he had no idea how to handle it. Jake spent 3 days hiding in a basement storage room at the medical center. Dr. Amy brought him food and updates about what was happening outside. The news was getting worse every hour. There are over 200 aliens out there now, she told him on Wednesday morning. The government set up roadblocks, but more ships keep landing. What do they want from me? Jake asked, eating a sandwich that tasted like cardboard. Blood samples, tissue samples, genetic mapping sessions. Some want to take you to their homeworlds for extended testing. The Threlki delegation is offering to buy you from the U.S. government for enough resources to end poverty on Earth. Jake almost choked on his food. Buy me like I'm some kind of thing? I know it sounds horrible, but to them you represent the survival of entire species. They're getting desperate. A loud crash from upstairs made them both freeze. They heard shouting and what sounded like fighting. Stay here, Dr. Amy said, but Jake was already following her toward the stairs. They climbed up and looked through a window into the parking lot. Jake couldn't believe what he saw. 2 groups of aliens were fighting each other with weapons that shot colored beams of light. The Zalari soldiers were trying to hold back a group of insect-like aliens who were carrying what looked like medical equipment. They're fighting over me, Jake said, feeling sick. The Threlki tried to set up an unauthorized blood collection station, Dr. Amy explained. The Zalari military stopped them. It's been going on for an hour. A human soldier in camouflage uniform ran up to them. Dr. Chen, Colonel Maria Santos wants to see you both immediately. They followed the soldier to a temporary command post that had been set up in the cafeteria. A stern woman with short gray hair was studying maps and talking rapidly into a radio. "You must be Jake Morrison," Colonel Santos said without looking up. "We have a problem." "Just one problem?" Jake asked. Colonel Santos finally looked at him. "Son, you are now classified as a strategic biological asset of the United States government. As of 1 hour ago, you're under military protection." "What does that mean?" "It means you don't leave this building without our permission. It means every sample of your blood or tissue is now considered classified material, and it means we're treating any attempt to take you by force as an act of war." Jake felt the walls closing in around him. "You can't just keep me here forever." "Watch me," Colonel Santos said. "Do you know what's happening out there? We have alien military forces from 6 different species, all claiming authority over you. The Zalari say you belong to them because their research discovered your genetics. The Vrexani claim you under their biological protection laws. The Threlki are threatening to declare war if they don't get equal access to your DNA. Dr. Amy stepped forward. "Colonel Jake is a civilian. You can't just hold him prisoner." "I'm not holding him prisoner. I'm keeping him alive. 2 hours ago, we intercepted communications about bounty hunters coming to Earth. Your friend here is worth more than the gross national product of most countries." A communication device on the table crackled to life. "Colonel Santos, this is Director Sam Walsh. I need to speak with Morrison immediately." Colonel Santos handed Jake a headset. "Jake Morrison here. Mr. Morrison, this is Director Walsh from Colonial Affairs. I'm going to be direct with you. The President wants to negotiate with the alien governments using your genetic material as a bargaining chip. We could secure trade agreements and technology that would advance human civilization by centuries." "You want to trade me?" Jake asked. "Not trade you. Trade access to your genetics." "There's a difference." "I don't see one." "Mr. Morrison, with respect, this is bigger than one person. We're talking about the future of humanity's place in the galaxy." Jake pulled off the headset and threw it on the table. "Everyone wants to use me for something. Nobody cares what I want." Healer Vextai appeared in the doorway looking exhausted. "Jake Morrison, I bring urgent news from my people." "What now?" Colonel Santos asked. "Commander Rexoth of the Zalari Defense Corps has issued an order. Jake Morrison is now considered a protected biological resource of the Zalari Republic. Any attempt to prevent our access to him will be treated as an act of aggression." "That's not going to happen," Colonel Santos said firmly. "I was afraid you would say that." Healer Vextai replied sadly. More crashes came from outside, followed by the sound of energy weapons firing. Through the window, Jake could see human military vehicles surrounding alien ships. Soldiers on both sides were pointing weapons at each other. "This is insane," Jake said. "People are going to get killed because of my blood." Kalaneth, the young Zalari nurse, ran into the room crying. "Healer Vextai! My cousin Zara is dying. She needs treatment now, but the military won't let our medical ship leave to get Jake Morrison's genetic material." "How many Zalari are dying right now?" Jake asked quietly. "Hundreds every day," Kalaneth said through her tears. "The children are the worst. They're born so sick." Jake stood up suddenly. "I need to get out of here." "That's not possible," Colonel Santos said. "You don't understand. While everyone is fighting over me, people are dying. I need to find another way." "Jake, it's too dangerous," Dr. Amy said. "More dangerous than this." "Look around. This is going to turn into a war." His friend Lisa Torres suddenly appeared in the doorway, somehow having gotten past all the security. "Jake, I've been looking everywhere for you." "Lisa, how did you get in here?" "I told them I was your medical advocate." "Jake, there are crowds of aliens outside your apartment building. Some of them are families with sick children. They're not soldiers or doctors. They're just parents who heard that you might be able to save their kids." Jake felt his heart breaking. "How many?" "Maybe 50 families. They're camping out in the parking lot. Some of them have traveled across the galaxy just to be here." Colonel Santos stepped forward. "Miss Torres, you need to leave immediately." "No, wait," Jake said. "Lisa, can you get me out of here?" "Jake, don't even think about it," Dr. Amy warned. "I have to. This whole situation is wrong. Everyone is treating me like I'm not even human anymore." Before anyone could stop him, Jake was moving toward the exit with Lisa. Colonel Santos shouted orders, but Jake didn't stop. They made it to Lisa's car in the parking lot before the soldiers caught up with them. As they were being dragged back toward the building, Jake saw something that made him stop fighting. A group of Zalari civilians had broken through the military perimeter. They weren't carrying weapons or medical equipment. They were carrying children. Sick, dying children who looked up at Jake with hope in their large, dark eyes. "Please," one of the alien parents said in broken English. "My daughter. She needs—" Behind them, more desperate families were pushing forward. Human soldiers and alien military forces were all shouting at each other. In the middle of it all, Jake realized that his decision about what to do with his DNA wasn't just about him anymore. It was about whether desperate parents would watch their children die while politicians and soldiers argued about who owned the cure. The crisis had reached its breaking point. Someone had to make a choice, and Jake realized that someone was going to have to be him. Jake stood in the middle of the chaos looking at the sick alien children and made his decision. "I'll do it," he said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "I'll help them." Colonel Santos grabbed his arm. "Morrison, you're not thinking clearly." "I'm thinking more clearly than I have in days," Jake replied. "These kids are dying while everyone argues about who owns my blood." "That's wrong." Dr. Amy pushed through the crowd. "Jake, wait. I have an idea that might help everyone." "What kind of idea?" Jake asked. "Come back inside. Let me explain." 30 minutes later, Jake sat in a conference room with Dr. Amy, Healer Vexthai, Colonel Santos, and representatives from 3 alien species. Dr. Amy had her computer open with charts and diagrams on the screen. "The problem isn't that we need Jake's blood forever," she explained. "The problem is that we keep taking it from him directly. But what if we could make copies of the important parts?" "Copies?" asked the Threlkey representative, a tall insect-like being whose name Jake couldn't pronounce. "Synthetic replication of the genetic sequences," Dr. Amy said. "We take detailed samples from Jake, figure out exactly which parts of his DNA help each species, and then create those sequences in a lab." Healer Vexthai leaned forward with interest. "You believe you can replicate the healing properties?" "I think so. But it would require Jake's cooperation for several weeks of intensive testing. We'd need to map his entire genetic structure and understand how it interacts with different alien biologies." Jake felt tired just thinking about it. "How intensive?" "Daily blood draws, tissue samples, bone marrow extraction, spinal fluid sampling. It won't be fun. But once we have the complete data, we could manufacture enough genetic material to help thousands of patients." The Vrexani representative, a furry, bear-like alien, spoke up. "This is acceptable to my people, but only if the synthetic material works as well as the original." "That's the risk," Dr. Amy admitted. "We won't know until we try." Commander Rexoth of the Zalari military stepped forward. "My government is skeptical. How do we know the humans will share this synthetic material equally? How do we know they won't keep the best treatments for themselves?" "Because," Jake said, "I won't let them. If I'm going through weeks of painful testing, it's to help everyone, not to give any one group an advantage." Colonel Santos didn't look happy. "Morrison, you realize this gives up any negotiating power we might have had?" "Good. I don't want to be anyone's negotiating tool." Dr. Amy smiled for the first time in days. "There's something else. If this works, we could test other humans to see if anyone else has similar genetics. Jake might not be completely unique." "You mean there might be others like me?" Jake asked hopefully. "Maybe. Your genetic sequence is rare, but if it exists in you, it probably exists in other people too." 3 days later, Jake moved into a special medical suite at the center. Dr. Amy assembled a team that included Dr. Kevin Chang, a human geneticist, and healer Zethmari, a Zalari expert in cross-species medicine. The testing was worse than Jake had expected. Every morning they drew blood. Every afternoon, they took tissue samples from different parts of his body. The bone marrow extraction made him feel like someone was drilling into his bones with a hot poker. "How are you holding up?" Lisa asked when she visited on the 4th day. "I feel like a pincushion," Jake said weakly. "But the preliminary tests look good. Dr. Amy thinks we're close to understanding how my genetics work." Kalenith, the young Zalari nurse, had become part of Jake's support team. She was very careful and gentle when taking samples, and she always apologized. "I'm sorry for what I did before," she told him one day while drawing blood. "Selling your samples was wrong." "You were trying to help your sister," Jake said. "I understand. She is better now. The treatments made from your blood, they saved her life." Jake smiled despite feeling weak. "Then it was worth it." But not everyone was happy with the cooperation plan. Lisa told him about protests outside the building. "Some of the Zalari military think your government is trying to trick them," she explained. and some humans think you're giving away something that belongs to Earth. It doesn't belong to anyone, Jake said. It's just genetics. On the 10th day of testing, Dr. Amy burst into his room with excitement.
Jake, we've had a breakthrough.
Good news or bad news? Jake asked. Incredible news. We've successfully synthesized your key genetic sequences. The lab tests show they work just as well as your original DNA. Dr. Kevin Chang was right behind her. And there's more. We've been running computer models on human genetic databases. We estimate that about 1 in 10 million humans might have similar beneficial sequences. Jake sat up in bed, feeling dizzy from the movement. 1 in 10 million? That's still only a few hundred people on Earth. But it's hundreds more than just you, Dr. Amy said, and some of them might have genetic patterns that help species we haven't even met yet. Healer Zethmari entered the room carrying a tablet. The first synthesis batch is ready for testing. We have enough synthetic material to treat 100 Zalari patients. When will we know if it works? Jake asked. The first patients will receive treatment tomorrow, Healer Zethmari said. If successful, we can begin mass production within a week. That night, Jake lay in bed feeling hopeful for the first time in weeks. But something was wrong. He felt weaker than usual and his skin looked pale. When he tried to stand up to go to the bathroom, his legs wouldn't hold him. Dr. Amy found him on the floor an hour later. Jake, what happened? I don't know. I just couldn't stand up. Dr. Amy ran blood tests immediately. When she got the results, her face went white. Jake, I need to be honest with you. The intensive sampling has compromised your immune system. Your white blood cell count is dangerously low. What does that mean? It means we need to stop all further testing immediately. Any more blood draws or tissue samples could permanently damage your health. Jake felt scared for the first time since this whole thing started. Could I die? Not if we stop now and let your body recover. But Jake, we haven't finished mapping all your genetic sequences. We have enough to help the Zalari, but the other species will have to wait, Jake said firmly. I can't help anyone if I'm dead. Dr. Amy nodded sadly. I'll inform the other delegations. As Jake drifted off to sleep that night, he wondered if the synthetic treatments would work. If they didn't, he might have sacrificed his health for nothing. But if they did work, it would prove that cooperation was better than fighting. Tomorrow they would find out which future humanity and its alien neighbors would have. Jake woke up to the sound of celebration outside his window. He had been recovering for 2 weeks and his strength was slowly coming back. Dr. Amy rushed into his room with a huge smile on her face. Jake, the synthetic treatments worked. All of them? Jake asked, sitting up carefully. The first batch of Zalari patients showed complete improvement within 48 hours. Their immune systems are functioning normally for the first time in their lives. Kalanith appeared in the doorway, tears of joy running down her blue face. Jake Morrison, my people owe you a debt that can never be repaid. The children who are dying, they are playing outside today. Jake felt his eyes getting wet. What about the other species? We had enough synthetic material to treat small test groups from the Vrexani and Threlki populations too, Dr. Amy said. Early results are very promising. Dr. Kevin Chang joined them with a tablet full of data. The synthesis process is working better than we hoped. We can now produce enough genetic material in 1 week to treat thousands of patients. So this is really over? Jake asked. Not quite, Dr. Amy said. The political situation is still complicated. The alien governments want guarantees that they'll have continued access to the treatments. The human government wants to make sure Earth gets something in return. Lisa Torres knocked on the doorframe. Mind if I interrupt? Jake, there's someone here to see you. A woman in an expensive suit walked in. She was tall and confident with graying hair and kind eyes. Mr. Morrison, I'm Ambassador Helen Rivera. I represent Earth in Galactic Affairs. Nice to meet you, Jake said. I think, Ambassador Rivera smiled. Don't worry. I'm here to help. The President has asked me to organize a summit to settle this situation once and for all. We want you to be part of the negotiations. Me? I'm not a diplomat. No, but you're the reason we're all here. Your voice should be heard in decisions about your genetic material. 2 days later, Jake found himself in the largest conference room he had ever seen. Representatives from Earth sat on one side of a massive table. Across from them sat delegations from 6 different alien species. Jake sat between Ambassador Rivera and Dr. Amy, feeling very small. Commander Rexoth spoke first. The Zalari Republic demands permanent access to Jake. Morrison's genetic synthesis process. The Threlke Collective. Requires equal treatment allocation. Buzzed the insect-like representative. The Vrexani Assembly claims priority rights due to our species' critical reproductive crisis. Growled the bear-like alien. Ambassador Rivera held up her hand. Gentlemen, ladies, beings, we're not here to make demands. We're here to find a solution that works for everyone. Jake cleared his throat. Everyone turned to look at him. Can I say something? Of course, Ambassador Rivera said. Jake stood up slowly, still feeling weak. A month ago, I was just a guy who built houses. I never asked to be special. I never wanted people to fight over my blood. The room was completely quiet, but I learned something from all this. When people are desperate, they do crazy things. When species are dying, they fight wars. But when we work together, we can solve problems that seemed impossible. Healer Vexthai leaned forward. What do you propose, Jake Morrison? I propose we create rules. Fair rules that protect everyone. No one species gets special treatment. No one gets left out. And most importantly, we find other humans who can help too, so this doesn't all depend on just me. Ambassador Rivera smiled. I think Mr. Morrison is suggesting what we call a framework agreement. Over the next 6 hours, they worked out the details. Jake insisted on several key points. The synthetic genetic material would be shared equally among all species that needed it. Earth would begin voluntary genetic screening to find other humans with beneficial DNA, and no one could be forced to give genetic samples against their will. The agreement was called the Morrison Genetic Protocols. Dr. Amy explained the medical aspects. We'll establish joint research facilities where human and alien scientists work together. Any new discoveries will be shared with everyone. Commander Rexoth looked skeptical. How do we know humans will honor this agreement? Because, Jake said, I'll be watching. This is my life's work now. 3 months later, Jake stood outside the new Interspecies Medical Research Center. He was mostly recovered from his ordeal, though Dr. Amy said he would need regular checkups for the rest of his life. The building was beautiful, with architecture that combined human and alien design elements. Scientists from 12 different species worked inside, developing treatments for diseases that had plagued the galaxy for centuries. Lisa Torres, who had been hired as the center's community liaison, walked up beside him. Hard to believe it all started with you needing $500 for rent money. Jake laughed. I got a lot more than $500 out of this. What did you get? A purpose, I guess. And friends I never would have met otherwise. Kalaneth emerged from the building wearing a new uniform that identified her as a senior research coordinator. Jake Morrison. The first volunteer screening results are ready. How many? Jake asked. We found 12 humans with beneficial genetic sequences in the first 1,000 volunteers. One of them might be able to help the Antaran species with their neural degenerative disease. That's amazing. Dr. Amy joined them carrying a tablet. Jake, I have something to show you. On the screen was a map of the galaxy with hundreds of green dots. What are those? Jake asked. Medical facilities that are now using treatments based on your genetic synthesis. We estimate that over 50,000 beings have been helped so far. Jake stared at the map. 50,000 lives changed because of his blood. Any regrets? Lisa asked. Just one, Jake said. I wish it hadn't taken a crisis to bring everyone together. Healer Vexthai approached their group. Jake Morrison, I have news from the Zalari homeworld. The Council of Healers has voted to name you an honorary citizen of our republic. You are the first human to receive this honor. Thank you, Jake said. That means a lot. There is more. Your genetic research has inspired other species to share their medical knowledge. The Corinthians have developed treatments for human cancer. The Altarians have created therapies for Earth's genetic diseases. Jake realized this was bigger than just his DNA. The cooperation that started with his genetic material had opened doors to medical advances that would help everyone. As the sun set behind the medical center, Jake watched human and alien scientists leaving work together, discussing their research in a dozen different languages. Children of multiple species played in the nearby park, all of them healthy because of treatments that hadn't existed a year ago. Jake Morrison had gone from being an ordinary construction worker to being the most important human in galactic medical history. But more than that, he had helped prove that the greatest problems could be solved when people chose cooperation over conflict. The aliens had been right about one thing from the beginning. He really was the perfect match. not just genetically, but as a bridge between species who learn to work together for the greater good.